Grounded until you make peace with your stepmom. Dad bellowed before our entire family. Snickers spread. My face scorched, but I merely uttered, "Very well." The next dawn, he mocked. "Found your position at last." Then he saw my chamber deserted. Then our lawyer burst in, quaking. "Sir, what have you caused?" Can you imagine being 28 years old, a successful adult, and your own father points his finger at you in front of 45 people and barks, "You're grounded until you apologize to your stepmother." Yeah, that happened. But what he didn't know was that his cruel joke, his public humiliation, would cost him everything just 72 hours later. What if I told you that moment of complete disbelief, that feeling of utter betrayal, was the beginning of his absolute undoing, all because he grounded the wrong daughter? For 3 long years, I lived in my father Marcus's reconstructed family. Reconstructed for him, that is. For me, it felt more like being an unwanted tenant in my own home. Every single month, I transferred a staggering $8,500 into their household account. That covered 70% of all their expenses, for a house where I was barely even acknowledged. The master bedroom renovation? My money. The pool maintenance? Mine. Bradley's shiny new BMW for his 26th birthday? Oh yeah, that was my money too. Stephanie handles some IT tasks for the company, my father would tell his business associates, waving his hand dismissively whenever they visited. IT tasks. He had no idea. I had single-handedly dragged his construction firm back from the brink of bankruptcy by modernizing their entire digital infrastructure. That multi-million-dollar government contract they bragged about last year? I wrote every technical specification, stayed up for 72 hours straight to hit the deadline. But at the celebration dinner, Marcus raised his champagne glass to Bradley, praising his vision and leadership. My stepmother, Veronica, she was a master at erasing me. "Oh, Stephanie's around here somewhere," she'd purr when guests asked, waving a perfectly manicured hand. A manicure I'd paid for, naturally. "She's so quiet, you'd hardly know she exists." Unlike Bradley, who's just such a natural leader. The truth was, I made way more money than I ever let them know. My official salary from his IT support department was modest, sure. But the consulting work I did on weekends, the side projects they thought were just me playing with computers, those had built something significant. Something they couldn't even begin to imagine. Every morning, I'd leave for what they assumed was my little tech job. Their words, not mine. They never asked where, exactly. Never wondered why I had a reserved parking spot in the heart of the financial district. They certainly never questioned why James Morrison, the CEO of Meridian Holdings, had my direct number. I'd learned to make myself small in that house. To be invisible. But some things I was learning can only be compressed so far before they just explode. The breaking point started with a $2 million disaster, entirely of Bradley's making. He'd promised a client impossible delivery dates without consulting anyone, then promptly disappeared to Cabo for a week with his friends. When the client threatened to sue, guess who got blamed? "This is your fault, Stephanie," Marcus announced at dinner, his face a furious red. "You should have been supervising him. You know Bradley's still learning the business." "Learning?" I set down my fork carefully. "He's 26, Dad. And I wasn't even assigned to that project." Veronica's voice cut through the air, smooth as silk, sharp as steel. "Don't make excuses. Family supports family. Bradley was counting on you to have his back." That evening, the email arrived. The client, Harrison Development, hadn't just complained. They'd specifically requested to work with me going forward, praising my exceptional problem-solving and professional integrity in cleaning up the mess. They wanted to expand their contract, but only if I personally managed it. I forwarded it to Marcus immediately. 20 minutes later, Veronica knocked on my door. "Delete that email," she said simply. "Bradley needs this win for his resume." "But it's addressed to me," I countered, my voice tight. "They want what they want." "It doesn't matter," she waved her hand dismissively, examining her nails, the ones from the $300 spa treatment I'd paid for last week. "What this family needs matters. Your father agrees." The email never happened. I watched her leave. My laptop still open to Harrison Development's glowing recommendation. With a few clicks, I forwarded it to my personal account, then to my lawyer, Sarah Coleman, with a simple note, document number 1. That email would never reach my father's inbox, but I knew it would resurface eventually. In a room full of witnesses, when the stakes were infinitely higher. My weekends had become sacred territory, though my family never questioned why. Stephanie's doing her computer things, Veronica would explain to anyone who asked, making little typing motions with her fingers like I was just playing a video game. If they'd bothered to track my location, they'd have found me 20 floors up in the Rainier Tower, in an office with my name on the door. My real office, not the converted storage room Marcus had so generously given me at his company. The floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Elliott Bay, and on clear days, I could see all the way to the Olympics. James wants to confirm Monday's meeting, my assistant messaged me that Saturday. James Morrison, whom my family thought was just someone from my old job who occasionally called. They had no idea he'd been my mentor at Stanford, or that we'd spent the last 3 years building something revolutionary together. The call came during Sunday dinner. Sorry, I said, glancing at the caller ID. It's my old boss. Marcus rolled his eyes. Tell them you're with family. I stepped onto the patio, lowering my voice. James, the Meridian board approved everything. $50 million for the construction project, but only with our exclusive tech integration. You know what that means, he replied, a grin in his voice. The exclusive agreement stands? Ironclad? No next gen, no deal. No next gen, no deal, I confirmed. You still okay with the timing? I watched through the window as Bradley helped himself to thirds, Veronica praising his appetite for success, Marcus nodding along, completely oblivious. Monday's perfect, I said. I just signed something interesting, actually. A new exclusive contract that goes into effect next week. Good, James chuckled. Because this deal will change everything. As I ended the call, I noticed Marcus watching me through the glass, suspicion flickering in his eyes. But then Bradley said something and his attention shifted right back to his chosen heir. Tuesday morning brought the ambush I'd been dreading. Veronica placed a stack of legal documents next to my coffee, her smile sharp as winter ice. Bradley's starting his investment portfolio, she announced. We need you to sign these transfer papers. I scanned the first page, share transfer agreement. My stomach dropped. These are my next-gen startup shares, I said, my voice level, though my hand trembled slightly. From a company I've been working with. They're worth about $2 million now. Veronica's laugh tinkled like breaking glass. Perfect. Bradley needs credible investments to show potential employers. Family helps family, dear. These shares could be worth $50 million after the IPO, I said quietly. Could be, Marcus emphasized, setting down his paper. Nothing's guaranteed, Stephanie. But Bradley's future is happening now. He needs this for his applications to investment firms. I looked at the signature line. Once signed, everything I'd built would legally belong to my stepbrother, who couldn't even spell equity correctly in his last email. I need to think about this. Think. Veronica's voice sharpened. What's there to think about? Unless you don't trust your own family. Marcus's expression darkened. Your mother's right. We've housed you, fed you, given you everything, and now you can't do this one thing for your brother. He stood, his chair scraping against the floor. Sign it, Stephanie, by my birthday party this weekend, or we'll have to reconsider your place in this family. The threat hung in the air, mocking the idea that I'd ever truly had a place. I understand, I said, sliding the papers into my bag. I'll give you my answer at your party. The memory hit me as I sat alone in my room that night, staring at the transfer documents. 5 years ago, right after Mom died, Dad had held my hand in the hospital parking lot. It's just us now, sweetheart, he'd said, tears streaming down his face. But I promise you, I will always be in your corner. Always. Even if the whole world turns against you, you'll have me. That man had disappeared the day Veronica walked into our lives with her perfect son and her perfect smile. The father who'd taught me to code, who'd celebrated when I got into Stanford, who'd called me his brilliant girl. That man had been replaced by someone who couldn't even remember what I did for a living. "You're being dramatic again," had become his favorite response to any concern I raised. When Veronica moved my mother's photos to the basement. When Bradley was given the office I'd renovated. When my achievements were credited to others. You're being dramatic. I tried one last time that Wednesday night, knocking on his study door. Dad, can we talk? Just us. He didn't look up from his computer. If this is about the papers, there's nothing to discuss. Veronica's right. Family shares everything. But Dad, this is my work, my company. I built, you're being dramatic, Stephanie. There it was. Right on cue. Bradley needs this opportunity. You'll have others. You're resourceful. Resourceful? Like I was some kind of cockroach that would survive no matter what they took from me. Do you even know what I do, Dad? Where I work. He finally looked up, irritation clear in his eyes. IT support computers. What else is there to know? I stood there for a moment, memorizing his dismissive expression. Nothing, Dad. There's nothing else you need to know. A brief, poignant pause, then a shift to a more direct, empowered tone. If you're watching this and have ever felt invisible in your own family, drop a comment below. Sometimes, the people who should see us most clearly are the ones who refuse to look. Don't forget to subscribe if this story resonates with you, because what happens next will blow your mind. What my family didn't know was that NextGen Solutions was 6 months away from a $500 million IPO. As Chief Technology Officer and co-founder, my 15% stake would be worth $75 million. But more importantly, I'd built something that mattered. The board had been clear in our last meeting, personal conflicts cannot affect the IPO. They'd seen too many startups destroyed by family drama. James had even pulled me aside afterward. Stephanie, I know your family situation is complex, but we need you focused. NextGen is bigger than any personal issue. He'd sent a follow-up email, which I'd saved, essentially stating that maintaining professional distance from conflicting interests was essential for our fiduciary duty to investors. Translation: if my family drama leaked into NextGen's business, I'd risk everything. Not just my money, but the livelihoods of our 200 employees. The cruel irony? My father was about to stake his entire company on a deal with Meridian Holdings, never knowing that Meridian's contract specifically required NextGen's involvement. Clause 7.3, buried on page 47 of the agreement, technical infrastructure must be provided exclusively by NextGen Solutions with implementation overseen by their CTO. I'd helped write that clause myself 2 years ago when James first brought me in as technical advisor for Meridian. Now, it would determine the fate of my father's biggest deal. The question wasn't whether I'd sign Bradley's papers anymore. The question was, how much would my father lose when he discovered who I really was? A moment of emotional intensity, leading into a call to action. Have you ever been in a situation where your family doesn't trust or value you? Comment your story below. I read every single one. If this video is helping you feel validated, please hit that like button and subscribe for more. We're just getting to the good part, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens at Dad's birthday party. Thursday's dinner became an interrogation disguised as family time. Veronica had strategically invited her sister and brother-in-law, creating an audience for her performance. Stephanie's being stubborn about helping Bradley, she announced, passing the salad with practiced innocence. We're just asking for one signature. Sign it, Bradley demanded, his mouth full of steak. Just sign. Marcus's fork hit his plate. I need more time for what? Veronica's voice dripped honey-coated poison. To consult lawyers? To scheme against your own family? That's not what I'm sign the papers, Stephanie. Marcus's voice had dropped to that dangerous quiet tone I remembered from childhood. Sign them or I'll assume you're not really part of this family. Her sister gasped dramatically. Surely she wouldn't betray family. What kind of person hoards success while their sibling struggles? The irony burned. Bradley had never struggled a day in his life, while I'd worked 18-hour days to build NextGen. If you don't sign before my birthday party, Marcus continued, I'll have no choice but to take action. I'll remove you from my will, for starters. And we'll need to discuss your living arrangements. Veronica smiled triumphantly. 45 people are coming to the party, Stephanie. Important people, business associates. You wouldn't want to embarrass the family in front of them, would you? I looked around the table at their expectant faces, their casual cruelty, their absolute certainty that I would fold. I understand, I said simply. 48 hours. As I left the table, I heard Veronica whisper to her sister, "She'll sign. She has nowhere else to go." If only they knew. I'd already gone, 3 years ago. My hands shook as I called Sarah Coleman from my car, parked 3 blocks from the house where I no longer felt safe. "Sarah, I need you to review these transfer documents tonight. Send them over." Her voice was calm, professional, a lifeline in the chaos. 20 minutes later, she called back. "Stephanie, these documents are problematic. They're trying to transfer shares of NextGen Solutions. My family doesn't know what NextGen really is." Well, that's their first problem. Their second is that this transfer agreement has several irregularities. The valuation is listed at $2 million, but I can see NextGen's pre-IPO valuation is nearly $500 million. This could be considered fraudulent misrepresentation. Can I refuse without legal consequences? You can absolutely refuse. But Stephanie. Sarah paused. Document everything. Every conversation, every threat, every email. If they escalate this after you refuse, you'll need evidence. They're threatening to disown me if I don't sign by Saturday. Are you recording these conversations? Starting now? Yes. Good. And Stephanie, I pulled the Meridian Holdings contract your father's company is pursuing. Did you know there's a technical requirement clause involving NextGen? Clause 7.3 I supplied. Sarah's surprise was evident. You knew? This changes everything. Your father needs your signature more than he realizes. Document everything, especially at that birthday party. If they publicly humiliate you and then discover they need your cooperation, the tables turn completely. Exactly. Keep your phone recording. Washington is a 2-party consent state, but in public gatherings with no expectation of privacy, you're covered. I sat in my car, staring at the house where I'd grown up. Through the lit windows, I could see them laughing, probably planning their victory. "Sarah," I said, "prepare whatever documents we might need for a clean break. I have a feeling Saturday will change everything." Friday afternoon, Marcus called an emergency family meeting. The dining room was packed. Veronica's sister and her husband, 2 cousins I barely knew, and Marcus's brother Tom, who'd driven up from Portland specifically for this intervention. "We're here because we love Stephanie," Marcus began, his voice thick with false concern. "But she's showing troubling behavior, selfishness, greed, refusing to help her brother succeed. It's heartbreaking," Veronica added, dabbing at dry eyes. "We've given her everything, and this is how she repays us." Uncle Tom, whom I'd once considered an ally, shook his head. "Stephanie, your mother would be ashamed. She always shared everything she had." The blow landed exactly where he'd aimed it. My mother, who died when I was 23, who'd never met Veronica or Bradley, was being weaponized against me. "Tomorrow's party will have 45 of Seattle's most influential people," Marcus continued. "The Hendersons, the Walkers, James Morrison from Meridian Holdings, all people whose opinions matter. Do you really want to be publicly revealed as the daughter who betrayed her family?" Betrayed? I kept my voice steady. The rage burned in my chest. "What else would you call it?" Veronica stood, pointing at me. "Hoarding wealth while your brother struggles to build a future. Bradley didn't even know what those shares represented." "Enough." Marcus slammed his hand on the table. "You have until tomorrow night. Sign the papers at my party, in front of everyone, showing this family is united, or I'll announce that you're no longer my daughter." The room fell silent. The ultimatum hung between us like a blade. "I understand," I said, standing slowly. "Tomorrow night, everyone will know exactly where I stand." Marcus smiled, thinking he'd won. He had no idea he'd just scheduled his own professional funeral. Saturday morning, I overheard the conversation that sealed their fate. Marcus was in his study on speakerphone, boasting to someone about the Meridian deal. $50 million, Tom. $50 million. Biggest deal in company history. We sign Monday at the Four Seasons. You sure everything's lined up? Tom's voice crackled through the speaker. Everything's perfect. Even got their technical requirements sorted. Some startup called NextGen, but my guy knows someone there. It's handled. I froze in the hallway. His guy knew someone. Marcus had no idea that someone was standing 10 feet away. James Morrison personally called to confirm, Marcus continued. As long as we have the tech partner locked down, we're golden. Something about an exclusive agreement. Clause 7 something. 7.3, I whispered to myself. The signing ceremony will be huge. 200 guests, full media coverage, live stream for investors. This deal makes us players, Tom. Real players. Through the cracked door, I could see the contract draft on his desk. The same one I'd photographed Thursday night, where Clause 7.3 clearly stated, technical infrastructure must be provided exclusively by NextGen Solutions with implementation overseen by their CTO. Marcus ended the call and noticed me in the doorway. Eavesdropping. Just passing by. Big deal on Monday. The biggest. His chest puffed with pride. While you're playing with your little computer job, I'm building an empire. Maybe if you showed more ambition like this, instead of selfishness, Bradley wouldn't need your shares. Right, I said quietly. Your empire? He turned back to his papers, dismissing me. On his desk, next to the Meridian contract, was a printed email from James Morrison. The subject line was partially visible, NextGen Solutions integration confirmed for Monday. If only he'd read the signature line at the bottom of James's emails, Stephanie Young, CTO NextGen Solutions. My phone buzzed as I finished packing my room. James Morrison calling. Stephanie, about Monday's signing, he started. I need to step outside, I said quickly, seeing Veronica hovering nearby. Once on the patio, I lowered my voice. James, what's going on? Just confirming you'll be there. The board wants the CTO present for something this big. Clause 7.3 is ironclad. Without your signature, the deal's dead. My father has no idea who I am at NextGen. Still, Stephanie, James said, a slight pause. He's about to find out in the most public way possible. Are you okay with that? I watched through the window as Marcus showed Bradley something on his laptop. Probably the Meridian contract, teaching his chosen heir about real business. Actually, James, I said, a slow smile spreading across my face, it's perfect timing. Can you make sure the lawyers emphasize the exclusive agreement? Maybe have the notarized copy ready. The one we signed 2 years ago, making NextGen the sole technical provider for all Meridian construction projects. Your idea, if I recall. My idea, I confirmed, remembering the late nights spent crafting that agreement, never imagining it would matter this much. Monday at 3 for Seasons, Emerald Ballroom. The signing's at 3:30, but arrive early. Security will have your level 5 badge ready. James, I hesitated. Thank you for believing in me when my own family couldn't. Stephanie, you built half this company. You don't thank partners for recognizing reality. He paused. Is everything okay? You sound different. Everything's about to be exactly as it should be. As I ended the call, I noticed my father watching from his study window. He pointed at his watch, then held up 5 fingers. 5 hours until his party. 5 hours until the beginning of his end. The house transformed for Marcus's 60th birthday, like a stage being set for a tragedy. Caterers arranged champagne flutes, florists positioned centerpieces, and Veronica directed everything with the precision of a general preparing for battle. I made my own preparations. First, I photographed the Meridian contract draft on Marcus's desk while he showered, focusing on Clause 7.3. The words were beautiful in their simplicity. This agreement is contingent upon NextGen Solutions' exclusive participation. Next, I called Sarah Coleman. I need the notarized exclusive agreement ready for Monday. The one you signed with Meridian 2 years ago. 3 copies, all certified. Perfect, she confirmed. And Sarah, I'm leaving tonight after the party. Your room's empty, she stated. Everything that matters is in my car. My laptop, my documents, my mother's jewelry. The things that made this house a home had already been evacuated. Recording device ready. Phones fully charged. Washington's 2-party consent doesn't apply to public gatherings. Good, Stephanie. What they're about to do to you will be the best thing that ever happened to them. I placed the house key on my dresser beside a simple note I'd written. I respect your decision, Dad. This is mine. Stephanie. The last thing I packed was my level 5 CTO security badge from NextGen, tucked safely in my purse. The same purse Veronica always mocked for being too plain for someone who should be representing the young family properly. From downstairs, I heard the first guests arriving. Marcus's booming laugh echoed through the house as he greeted his business associates, the people whose respect he craved more than his daughter's love. Stephanie. Veronica's voice cut through the noise. Get down here and bring the papers. I looked in the mirror one last time. Let's give them a birthday to remember. The party sparkled with the kind of desperate elegance that Marcus loved. 45 of Seattle's business elite mingled in our living room, champagne flowing, conversations growing louder. I recognized half of them, people who'd ignored me at previous gatherings, dismissing me as Marcus Young's quiet daughter who did something with computers. Everyone, attention. Marcus clinked his glass, pulling the room's focus. I want to thank you all for celebrating my 60th. But more importantly, I want to introduce the future of Young Construction. My son, Bradley. Bradley stumbled forward, already 3 drinks in, wearing a suit that cost more than most people's monthly rent. My money, naturally. Bradley will be taking a larger role in the company, Marcus continued. He's shown incredible vision and leadership. What about Stephanie? Mrs. Henderson asked, one of the few who'd ever acknowledged my existence. Isn't she in the business, too? Marcus's laugh was dismissive. Oh, Stephanie helps with administrative tasks, basic IT support. She's reliable in her small way. Veronica stepped forward, draped in diamonds I'd inadvertently funded. Speaking of family business, we have an announcement to make tonight about family unity and support. I stood near the back, invisible as always, watching them set their own trap. Several guests glanced my way with sympathy. Or was it pity? Marcus's lawyer, Robert Smith, after the changes, stood near the door, looking uncomfortable. Where's that next-gen representative you mentioned? Someone asked Marcus about the Meridian deal. Oh, that's all handled through intermediaries. Marcus waved dismissively. Some startup tech company. They're lucky to be involved with a project this significant. If only he knew that some startup was valued at $500 million and its CTO was standing 15 feet away, holding a glass of champagne she wouldn't drink. Before we continue celebrating, Veronica announced, her voice cutting through the chatter, we have a small family matter to address. Stephanie, sweetheart, would you come up here? Every eye turned to me. I walked forward slowly, my phone recording in my pocket. As you all know, Veronica continued, family is everything to the Youngs. Supporting each other, sharing success, lifting each other up. That's why we're so proud that Stephanie has agreed to help launch Bradley's investment career. I haven't agreed to anything, I said clearly. The room went quiet. Veronica's smile flickered, but held. Don't be shy, dear. Tell everyone how you're transferring your shares to help your brother. I'm not transferring anything. Marcus's face flushed red. Stephanie, we discussed this. You demanded it. There's a difference. This is embarrassing. Someone whispered, you're right. I said, turning to face the crowd. This is embarrassing. Being pressured to give away $2 million in shares that could be worth $50 million after the IPO, to someone who's never worked a day in his life? Yes, that's very embarrassing. How dare you? Veronica stepped forward. After everything we've done for you. You mean after I paid 70% of household expenses? After I saved Marcus's company from bankruptcy? After I wrote the proposals that won him his contracts, while Bradley got the credit? You ungrateful, Bradley started. Bradley, I cut him off. Can you even spell equity correctly? Because you misspelled it 3 times in your last email. The room was dead silent now. Marcus's business associates watched with the fascination of people witnessing a car crash. You're being dramatic, Marcus said, his go-to dismissal. No, I replied, my voice hard. I'm being factual. And I'm done being erased in my own family. Marcus stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. The sound echoed in the silent room like a judge's gavel. Stephanie Young. His voice boomed across the room. You are grounded until you apologize to your stepmother. For a moment, nobody moved. Then someone giggled. Then another. Soon, uncomfortable laughter rippled through the room. Did he just? Mrs. Henderson whispered to her husband. Ground a 28-year-old? Mr. Walker finished, incredulous. She's acting like a child. She shall be treated like one. Marcus declared, doubling down. You're confined to this house until you show proper respect to this family. Marcus, his brother Tom, tried to intervene. Maybe we should. No. Marcus's face was purple now. I'm done coddling her. Stephanie, you have two choices. Sign those papers and apologize to Veronica right now, in front of everyone, or you're no longer my daughter. The room held its breath. 45 of Seattle's elite watched as Marcus Young publicly disowned his only biological child over money she'd earned herself. I looked around the room slowly, memorizing their faces, the shock, the judgment, the barely concealed excitement at witnessing such spectacular drama. These were the people Marcus wanted to impress more than he wanted to know his own daughter. All right, I said simply. Finally coming to your senses, Veronica smirked. No. I'm accepting his terms. I'm grounded. I set down my champagne glass. And since I'm grounded, I should go to my room. Don't you dare walk away from me, Marcus shouted. But I was already walking, my footsteps steady on the marble floor his construction company had installed, with my money. Behind me, the party exploded into whispers. The last thing I heard was Marcus saying, "She'll be back down in an hour," begging to sign. A beat of anger and defiance, then a direct address to the audience. If you're angry about how Marcus and Veronica just treated Stephanie, type justice in the comments right now. Trust me, karma is about to arrive in ways nobody saw coming. Share this video with anyone who's ever been manipulated by toxic family members. The next part is where everything changes. And I mean, everything. I didn't go to my room. I walked straight through the house, past the kitchen where caterers pretended not to stare, out the back door, and around to where my car was parked. My suitcases were already in the trunk. My laptop bag sat in the passenger seat. Everything I valued from 28 years in that house fit in a Honda Civic. Back inside, I could hear the party resuming. Marcus's voice booming about teaching responsibility and this generation's entitlement. Veronica was probably glowing, finally rid of the stepdaughter who'd never quite fit her vision of the perfect family. I slipped back in through the side entrance, just long enough to place my house key on the kitchen counter, right next to the note I'd prepared. I respect your decision, Dad. This is mine. Stephanie. Bradley appeared in the doorway, drunk and swaying. Dad says you have until morning to apologize. Tell him I hurt him. You're really going to throw away your family over money? He scoffed. I looked at my stepbrother, 26 years old, never held a job, living off my financial support while calling me selfish. Bradley, do you even know what Next Gen Solutions does? Some tech stuff? Who cares, right? Who cares? I picked up my purse, feeling the weight of my CTO badge inside. Enjoy the party. Where are you going? You're grounded. To my room, I lied, walking past him. Finally learning your place, he called after me, echoing our father. I stopped at the stairs, looking back one last time. Actually, Bradley, I've always known my place. It was just never here. By the time they'd check my room in the morning, I'd be in my downtown apartment, preparing for the most important meeting of Marcus Young's life, one he didn't know would destroy him. Sunday morning, my phone exploded with missed calls. 43 from Marcus, 15 from Veronica, even 5 from Bradley. I didn't answer any of them. The first voicemail was Marcus, fury barely contained. Your room is empty. Your key is on the counter. This is not what we discussed, Stephanie. Call me immediately. The fifth was Veronica, fake concern dripping. Sweetie, we're worried. This isn't like you. Just come home and we can work this out. The 10th was Marcus again, now panicked. Stephanie. Sarah Coleman just called. She says she represents you. What's going on? Call me back. But it was the 20th message that made me smile. Marcus, his voice different, smaller somehow. Mr. Morrison from Meridian called about tomorrow's signing. He asked if you'd be there. Why would he ask that? Stephanie, what did you do? I texted Sarah. They found the empty room. Her response was immediate. Marcus called 3 times. I told him, I'm your attorney and all communication goes through me now. He actually asked if you were having a mental breakdown. What did you tell him? That you're the sanest person I know and that he should be very careful about implying otherwise, given what's about to happen. Did you mention Monday? Only that you have a prior professional commitment you intend to honor. I spent Sunday in my real home. The downtown apartment they never knew existed. 2 bedrooms, floor-to-ceiling windows, the kind of place Marcus would have bragged about if he'd known his daughter owned it outright. Bought with my first next-gen bonus 2 years ago. James called that evening. Everything set for tomorrow? More than set. My father will be there front and center. He requested to sign first for the cameras. Perfect. The more public, the better. Stephanie, are you sure about this? James, I said, a steely resolve in my voice. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Monday, November 15th, 3 p.m. Four Seasons Hotel, Emerald Ballroom. The space was spectacular. Crystal chandeliers, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the sound. 200 chairs arranged theater-style, facing a raised platform where the signing would take place. Cameras were active for remote investors. I watched from the service entrance as Seattle's business elite filed in. Tech moguls, real estate developers, city council members, everyone who mattered in Marcus's world. This was his moment, his validation, his proof that young construction had finally made it to the big leagues. Marcus arrived at 2:30, Veronica on his arm, Bradley trailing behind in a poorly fitted suit. He worked the room like a politician, shaking hands, slapping backs, his laugh echoing off the marble walls. 50 million, I heard him tell the Hendersons. Largest construction deal in Seattle this year. James Morrison and his team entered at 2:45. A phalanx of lawyers in perfect formation. The Meridian Holdings CEO commanded attention without trying, his presence shifting the room's energy. Marcus, James extended his hand. Ready to make history? Born ready, Marcus replied, chest puffed out like a peacock. Everything's in order. All requirements met. Everything's perfect? James didn't miss a beat, though Marcus didn't notice James's slight frown. And your technical partner? They're confirmed. All handled, Marcus said dismissively. Some startup, but my people know their people. James's lawyer leaned in, whispering something. James nodded, his expression unreadable. Well then, James said. Shall we begin? They moved to the platform. Marcus took his position at the signing table, pen in hand, cameras flashing. This was his dream realized, the moment he'd worked toward for 20 years. He had no idea he was about to lose it all because he'd grounded the wrong daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, James Morrison addressed the crowd. Thank you for witnessing this historic partnership between Meridian Holdings and Young Construction. This $50 million project will reshape Seattle's skyline. Applause filled the room. Marcus glowed under the attention. Veronica beside him, playing the part of supportive wife perfectly. Bradley was already on his phone, probably posting about his father's success. Before we sign, James continued, let me emphasize that this deal represents not just construction excellence, but technological innovation. Our exclusive partnership with NextGen Solutions ensures this project will set new industry standards. Marcus nodded enthusiastically, having no idea what that actually meant. The lawyers presented the contracts, 3 copies, pristine white pages with neat black text. Marcus picked up his Montblanc pen, a gift from Veronica, bought with my money, and prepared for his moment of triumph. Mr. Young, if you'll sign here, the lawyer indicated. Marcus signed with a flourish. 1 copy. 2 copies. As he reached for the third, Meridian's head lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman named Patricia Coleman, after our adjustments, held up her hand. We need to verify Clause 7.3 compliance first. Clause 7.3? Marcus's pen hovered. The NextGen Solutions exclusive agreement. We need their CTO signature before this contract is valid. The room murmured. Marcus's smile faltered slightly. That's just a formality. My people have been in touch with their people. It's not a formality, Patricia said firmly. It's a legal requirement. Without Stephanie Young's signature, this contract is void. The room went silent. Marcus's face went white. Who? Stephanie Young, Chief Technology Officer of NextGen Solutions. She needs to be here now. Every head in the room turned toward Marcus. 200 of Seattle's most influential. People watched his confusion transform into horror. There must be some mistake, Marcus stammered, his voice cracking. Stephanie is my daughter. She works in IT support. She's not, she can't be. The ballroom doors opened. I walked in, wearing my best power suit, the one I bought for next-gen board meetings, not family dinners. My level 5 security badge hung visibly from my lapel. Every step was measured, confident. The walk of someone who belonged in rooms like this. Good afternoon, Mr. Morrison, I said, shaking James's hand. Sorry I'm late. Traffic from the next-gen offices was terrible. Stephanie, Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. I turned to face my father, the man who'd grounded me 60 hours ago for refusing to give away my shares. The man who'd called me dramatic, selfish, ungrateful. Hello, Dad. I heard you need my signature. You're the CTO? Veronica had gone pale, her perfect composure cracking. For 3 years now. I pulled out my business card, placing it on the signing table. Co-founder, actually. James and I built NextGen together. The room erupted in whispers. Phones appeared, people Googling frantically. Within seconds, they found it. My LinkedIn, my Forbes features, the TechCrunch articles about NextGen's revolutionary platform. But you said you worked in IT support. Bradley blurted out. No, I corrected. Dad said I worked in IT support. He never asked what I actually did. I reached into my briefcase, pulling out the notarized exclusive agreement. This is the contract between NextGen and Meridian, signed 2 years ago. I'm the only person authorized to approve our involvement in Meridian projects. Marcus stared at the document, then at me, then back at the document. His $50 million deal, his moment of triumph, his entire future, all of it depended on the daughter he'd just publicly humiliated and disowned. Show them the documentation, James said calmly. I laid everything out on the table, each piece of evidence landing like a hammer blow. My CTO security badge, level 5, the highest clearance at NextGen. The original incorporation documents showing me as co-founder with 30% initial equity, now diluted to 15%, worth $75 million at current valuation. The notarized exclusive agreement with Meridian, dated 2 years ago, requiring my personal approval for any construction project integration. Email threads between James and me discussing the technical requirements for Marcus's project, dated weeks before today. This can't be real, Marcus muttered, shuffling through the papers. It's all real, Mr. Young, Patricia Coleman confirmed. We verified everything. Your daughter is one of the most successful CTOs in Seattle. NextGen's platform is why Meridian chose your company. It was the only way to access their technology. But she never said anything. Veronica's voice pitched high with panic. I tried to tell you Saturday night, I said evenly. You were too busy demanding I give my shares to Bradley to listen. Someone in the crowd gasped. The Henderson family, who'd witnessed Saturday's debacle, were whispering furiously. The story was spreading through the room like wildfire. Marcus Young had grounded his adult daughter for refusing to give away shares in a company worth $500 million. Please, Marcus said quietly, his pride crumbling before 200 witnesses. Stephanie, please sign the contract. Why would I do that? I asked. According to you, I'm grounded until I apologize for keeping what I earned. According to you, I'm not even your daughter anymore. The cameras were still rolling. The live stream was still active. Thousands of investors were watching Marcus Young beg the daughter he discarded. Stephanie, sweetheart. Marcus's voice cracked, using an endearment he hadn't said in 3 years. You're my daughter. You'll always be my daughter. I was angry. I didn't mean it. You meant it enough to say it in front of 45 people, I replied calmly. This is ridiculous. Veronica stepped forward, desperation making her reckless. Just sign it, Stephanie. Stop being so vindictive. Vindictive. I turned to her. Like when you made me delete the Harrison development email praising my work so Bradley could take credit. Like when you demanded I transfer shares worth $50 million to your son who can't even actually. Patricia Coleman interjected, Mr. Young, your stepson clearly doesn't understand valuations. NextGen is completing a Series D round at a $500 million valuation. Your daughter's shares are worth approximately 75 million pre-IPO. The number hung in the air. 75 million. More than Marcus's company had grossed in its entire 30-year history. Your worth. Marcus couldn't finish the sentence. About 10 times what you are. Yes. I let that sink in. The daughter you called dramatic. The one you said had a little computer job. The one you grounded like a child. Please. Marcus was begging now, pride completely abandoned. The company needs this deal. We've leveraged everything. Without Meridian, we'll go under. I know, I said simply. I've seen your financials. You bet everything on this deal. Then you know what you're doing to me. I know exactly what I'm doing. I picked up the pen, holding it thoughtfully. I'm showing you the same consideration you showed me Saturday night. The same respect. The same family loyalty. I set the pen down and signed. The silence in the ballroom was deafening. 200 people held their breath as I stood before the contract that would save or destroy my father's company. I won't sign this, I announced clearly. Marcus's knees actually buckled. Veronica caught his arm, her own face ashen. But I'll tell you why, I continued. It's not about money. It's not about revenge. It's about respect. I turned to address the room, these people who'd watched my humiliation and were now witnessing my vindication. On Saturday, my father told me that family shares everything. But sharing requires respect, trust, recognition that each person has value. For 3 years, I've been erased in my own home while building a company worth $500 million. We didn't know, Marcus pleaded. Because you never asked. You never wondered why I had weekend meetings. Never questioned why James Morrison had my direct number. Never considered that maybe, just maybe, your daughter was more than IT support. I faced James. Meridian's values include respect, innovation, and integrity. Young Construction has demonstrated none of these. I cannot in good conscience attach NextGen's reputation to a company that treats family as disposable when they won't comply with demands. You're destroying me, Marcus whispered. No, Dad. You destroyed us the moment you chose your new family over your daughter. I'm just declining a business opportunity. I gathered my documents, placing them neatly in my briefcase. Mr. Morrison, NextGen remains committed to Meridian's other projects. We'll find you a construction partner who aligns with our values. Completely understood, James replied, his respect evident. I walked toward the exit, my heels clicking on marble. At the door, I turned back one final time. Business is built on trust, Dad. You broke mine. That's a debt your 50 million can't repay. The aftermath was immediate and brutal. The deal is terminated, James Morrison announced to the stunned room. Meridian Holdings will not proceed without NextGen's participation. Wait. Marcus lunged forward, papers scattering. There has to be another way. We can negotiate. There's nothing to negotiate, Patricia Coleman stated. Clause 7.3 is non-waivable. Without Miss Young's signature, this contract is void. The live stream chat exploded. Investors who'd been watching remotely were already pulling out. Within minutes, Young Construction's stock price began its death spiral. You can't do this. Veronica shrieked at James. One signature shouldn't matter this much. Your stepdaughter's signature is worth $50 million to you, James replied coldly. Perhaps you should have valued her accordingly. Bradley, finally understanding the magnitude of the disaster, turned on his mother. You said she was nobody. You said she'd always cave. Shut up, Bradley. Veronica snapped, her perfect facade crumbling. The room was emptying rapidly, Seattle's elite fleeing the sinking ship, but not before the whisper started. Grounded his own daughter. 75 million in shares? Made her pay for everything while treating her like a servant? My God, the Harrison development contract. She saved that deal and they gave credit to the son. Marcus stood frozen at the signing table, staring at the unsigned contracts. His phone was buzzing incessantly, board members, investors, creditors, all seeing the live stream disaster. Mr. Young, a reporter had appeared, microphone extended. Seattle Business Journal. Can you comment on why you didn't know your daughter was CTO of NextGen? Is it true you tried to force her to give her shares to your stepson? That's not, did you really ground a 28-year-old woman? The questions came like bullets, each one finding its mark. Marcus Young, who'd wanted nothing more than respect from Seattle's business community, had become its newest cautionary tale. By Tuesday morning, the professional execution was complete. The Seattle Business Journal ran the headline, "Young Construction Loses $50 million Deal After CEO Fails to Recognize Daughter's Tech Empire." Young Construction's stock price had dropped 40% overnight. Trading was halted twice due to volatility. The board called an emergency meeting for noon. I watched the news from my office at NextGen, feeling nothing but calm. Sarah Coleman called with updates every hour. The board voted. Marcus is out as CEO, effective immediately. 3 more contracts just canceled. Companies are citing reputational concerns. Broadly's job offer from Rainier Partners was rescinded. They saw the live stream. The live stream. That beautiful, damning piece of evidence showing Marcus Young begging his discarded daughter for salvation. It had been viewed over 2 million times in 24 hours. Grounded CEO was trending on Twitter. Forbes called, requesting an interview. TechCrunch wanted a statement. The Wall Street Journal was preparing a piece on family dynamics and tech leadership. I declined them all through Sarah. My silence said more than any quote could. James Morrison released a statement. Meridian Holdings values partnerships built on mutual respect and recognition. We look forward to working with construction firms that share these values. Translation: anyone who treated their people like Marcus treated me would never see Meridian money. By Thursday, the numbers were in. Young construction market cap down $200 million. Canceled contracts, 6 major projects. Board confidence vote, 12-2 against Marcus. Time from signing ceremony to termination, 48 hours. Marcus Young, who'd spent 30 years building his company, had destroyed it in a single weekend by grounding the wrong person. How does it feel? Sarah asked during our afternoon call. Like justice, I replied. Served with a full audit trail. The personal fallout was even more spectacular than the professional collapse. Veronica filed for divorce on Friday, less than a week after the signing ceremony disaster. Her lawyer's statement to the press was carefully crafted. Mrs. Young was deliberately misled about the family's financial situation and excluded from major decisions affecting household assets. Translation: she was abandoning the sinking ship and grabbing whatever wasn't nailed down. She's claiming I hid assets from her. Marcus told his brother Tom, who told his wife, who told everyone at her book club. She wants half of everything, plus alimony. The irony was delicious. Veronica, who'd orchestrated the campaign to steal my shares, was now claiming she'd been cheated out of her fair share. Bradley's hit hard. The entry-level job he finally found, data entry at a small logistics company, paid $35,000 a year. His Instagram, once full of luxury car selfies and VIP section photos, went dark. He asked if NextGen was hiring, Sarah informed me, barely suppressing laughter. I told him to submit his resume through the portal like everyone else. He never did. Probably couldn't figure out how to format it properly. The family who'd witnessed my humiliation scattered like roaches when lights turned on. Uncle Tom stopped returning Marcus's calls. Veronica's sister unfriended everyone on Facebook. The cousins who'd lectured me about family loyalty pretended we'd never met. But the cruelest blow came from the social circuit. The country club suspended Marcus's membership pending financial review. The charity board's Veronica had clawed her way onto quietly requested her resignation. The holiday party invitations that once flooded their mailbox dried up entirely. Marcus Young had wanted respect from Seattle's elite. Instead, he'd become their favorite cautionary tale about hubris, greed, and the danger of underestimating your own daughter. The desperation began 2 weeks after the signing ceremony collapsed. First came the emails, 47 of them, each more frantic than the last. Stephanie, we need to talk. Please, this is destroying everything I built. Your mother would want us to reconcile. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Then the phone calls. My assistant kept a log, 83 attempts in 5 days. I didn't answer a single one. He tried showing up at NextGen's offices. Our security had his photo at every entrance with instructions. Do not admit. Do not engage. Call police if he refuses to leave. He stood outside for 3 hours yesterday, my head of security reported, just staring at the building. The flowers arrived daily, expensive arrangements with increasingly desperate notes. To my brilliant daughter, I see you now. Please forgive a foolish old man. I was wrong about everything. I had them donated to the children's hospital. At least someone could enjoy them. Marcus even tried intermediaries. Uncle Tom called, sheepish and fumbling. He's really broken, Stephanie. Maybe you could just hear him out. Did you call him when he grounded me in front of 45 people? Well, no, but then we have nothing to discuss. The Hendersons, who'd witnessed both my humiliation and vindication, reached out more thoughtfully. We never knew what you'd accomplished. If you ever need references or connections, please don't hesitate. I appreciated their offer, but didn't need it. NextGen's IPO filing would happen in 4 months. My net worth would cross $300 million. I'd built my success without family support. I certainly didn't need it now. But Marcus kept trying, each attempt more pathetic than the last. Apparently unable to understand that some bridges, once burned, couldn't be rebuilt with apologies and flower arrangements. 3 months after the signing ceremony, my success became undeniable. Forbes 30 Under 30 featured me on the cover. The headline, the CTO who built a $2 billion company while her family thought she did IT support. The profile was thorough, documenting my journey from Stanford to NextGen. The late nights coding while my family slept. The board meetings I attended while they thought I was playing with computers. But the line that went viral was James Morrison's quote, "Stephanie Young built 60% of our platform architecture single-handedly. She's not just a CTO. She's a visionary who saw possibilities everyone else missed." The fact that her own father missed it too? That's his loss, not ours. TechCrunch followed up with a piece titled, "The $50 million Grounding, How Family Toxicity Nearly Derailed Seattle's Next Unicorn." The tech community rallied around me in ways my blood family never had. Female CTOs reached out with support. Startup founders shared their own stories of family disbelief. A group called Tech Leaders Against Toxic Families invited me to speak at their conference. I declined the speaking engagement, but donated $100,000 to their scholarship fund for young technologists escaping unsupportive homes. The IPO announcement came in March. NextGen's valuation, $2 billion. My stake, $300 million. The same week, I launched the Young Women in Tech Foundation, pointedly using my last name to reclaim it from the man who tried to disown me. Our mission: supporting young female technologists whose families didn't believe in their potential. The foundation's first scholarship recipient was a 19-year-old whose parents wanted her to quit coding and find a husband instead. I presented her the check personally, remembering my own father's dismissal of my little computer job. "Never let anyone make you small," I told her. Especially not family. 6 months after the grounding that changed everything, I woke up in my new penthouse. But it wasn't the luxury that mattered. It was the peace. No one here questioned my worth. No one demanded I shrink myself to make them comfortable. No one treated my success as their ATM. My morning routine was sacred. Coffee on the terrace, reviewing NextGen's overnight metrics. Then a video call with James about our expansion into European markets. We'd hired 50 new engineers, opened offices in London and Berlin, and were finalizing partnerships worth $500 million. The Singapore Sovereign Wealth Fund wants in on the next round, James mentioned. They're talking about a $3 billion valuation. $3 billion. The company my father never bothered to ask about was worth $3 billion. My personal life had flourished, too. I was dating Michael, a biotech founder who'd never once called my ambitions dramatic or suggested I tone down my success. He celebrated my wins, supported my decisions, and understood that respect wasn't negotiable. "Your dad called my office," he mentioned over dinner one evening, "wanted to know if I could talk sense into you." "What did you say?" "That you're the most sensible person I know, and that maybe he should have realized that before he grounded a grown woman." The foundation had awarded 12 scholarships. NextGen had promoted 3 female engineers to senior positions. My apartment's second bedroom had become a makeshift office where I mentored young women navigating toxic family dynamics while building careers. This was success. Not just the money or recognition, but the freedom to exist without justification, to succeed without permission, to thrive without apology. Every morning I woke up knowing I'd chosen myself, and that choice had made all the difference. The coffee shop encounter happened on a rainy Tuesday in April, 7 months after the birthday party that ended everything. I was reviewing contracts at my favorite cafe when a shadow fell across my table. I looked up to find Marcus, but not the Marcus I remembered. This man was 20 pounds thinner, his hair completely gray, his expensive suit replaced by a simple sweater and jeans. "Hello, Stephanie." I studied him for a moment, then gestured to the chair across from me. "You have 10 minutes. I have a board meeting at 3. He sat carefully, like he was afraid the chair might reject him, too. "You look well." "I am well." The Forbes article. I read it, all of it, 3 times. And I'm an idiot. His voice cracked. I had a brilliant, successful daughter right in front of me, and I was too blinded by Veronica's manipulation and my own ego to see it. "Veronica didn't make you dismiss me, Dad. She didn't force you to call my career little computer things. That was all you." He nodded, accepting the blow. "You're right. I wanted so badly to build the perfect new family that I destroyed the real one I had. How's the perfect family working out?" Veronica took half of what was left. "Bradley won't return my calls. Apparently, I'm no use to him anymore. The house is in foreclosure," he laughed bitterly. "The house you paid 70% of. And I'm losing it." I said nothing. His losses weren't my responsibility. "I'm not here for money," he added quickly. "I know that bridge is burned. I wanted you to know that I finally see you. Too late, but I see you. Your 10 minutes are up." Marcus started to stand, then stopped. Could we maybe try again? Not as financial partners. Not as anything except father and daughter." I closed my laptop, giving him my full attention for the first time in months. "Under certain conditions," I said carefully. His eyes lit with desperate hope. "Anything. First, therapy. Individual and family counseling. You need to understand why you were so quick to erase me for your new family. I've actually started Dr. Martinez twice a week." That surprised me. "Second, no business together, ever. You don't get to profit from my success after dismissing it for years." "Understood." "Third, you acknowledge what happened publicly. Have asked. No rewriting history. No minimizing, no misunderstandings. You grounded your 28-year-old daughter for not giving away $75 million in assets. You own that." He flinched, but nodded. "Fourth, respect is non-negotiable. One comment about me being dramatic. One suggestion that I'm overreacting. One attempt to guilt me about family loyalty. And we're done. Permanently. I accept all of it. Fifth, this isn't a reunion. It's a possibility. We start with coffee once a month. Public places only. You earn trust back slowly, if at all. Coffee once a month." He repeated. "I can do that." I stood, gathering my things. "Next month. First Tuesday, same place, same time. Don't be late." "Stephanie," he called as I reached the door. "What you built at NextGen. It's extraordinary. You're extraordinary." "I know," I replied simply. "I always was. You just finally noticed." As I walked to my car, I felt lighter. Not because I'd forgiven him. Forgiveness would take years, if it came at all. But because I'd set boundaries, clear as code, respect me or lose me. This time, he knew I meant it. Shifting to a powerful, reflective, and instructional tone, looking back now, I realized that being grounded at 28 was the greatest gift my father ever gave me. Though not in the way he intended. That humiliation in front of 45 witnesses wasn't just a breaking point. It was a liberation. For 3 years, I'd made myself smaller to fit into their narrative. I'd hidden my success, downplayed my achievements, and paid for the privilege of being ignored. The grounding freed me from the exhausting performance of being less than I was. Sometimes, losing family means gaining yourself. The price of their acceptance had been my invisibility. The cost of their love was my self-worth. When Marcus grounded me, he thought he was putting me in my place. Instead, he released me to claim my actual place. At the head of tables he could never afford to sit at. Success, I learned, is the best revenge. Not because it hurts those who hurt you, but because it proves they were wrong about your worth. Every milestone Next Gen hit, every award I received, every young woman our foundation supported was evidence that their dismissal of me was their failure, not mine. But the most valuable lesson was about boundaries. Family doesn't grant unlimited access to your life, your money, or your achievements. Blood relation isn't a blank check for disrespect. No is a complete sentence, even, especially, to parents who believe their children owe them everything. My mother used to say, when people show you who they are, believe them. Marcus showed me who he was that night at his birthday party. Veronica revealed herself with every manipulative demand. Bradley demonstrated his character by taking credit for my work. I believed them, and then I chose to believe in myself more. Grounding me was supposed to break my spirit. Instead, it gave me wings. If you've made it this far in my story, you probably recognize something familiar in it. Maybe you're the overlooked daughter whose brothers get all the credit. The son whose parents call your dreams impractical. The spouse whose partner diminishes your career as a hobby. Here's what I need you to know. Your value doesn't depend on their validation. Document everything when dealing with toxic people. Save emails, record conversations where legally allowed. Keep receipts, not for revenge, but for protection when they try to rewrite history. It's okay to choose yourself. You don't owe anyone access to your success, especially those who doubted you to achieve it. Family isn't a free pass to your bank account, your connections, or your emotional energy. Sometimes, the family you choose, mentors like James, lawyers like Sarah, partners who see your worth, matters more than the family you're born into. Build your chosen family with the same intention you'd build a company, carefully, with people who add value and respect your boundaries. And remember, you're not dramatic for having standards. You're not selfish for protecting what you've earned. You're not ungrateful for refusing to be diminished. 3 years ago, I was paying 70% of expenses in a house where I was invisible. Today, I'm running a $3 billion company and helping young women escape similar situations. The difference? I stopped waiting for permission to be myself. My name is Stephanie Young. Yes, I kept the last name, not for the man who tried to disown me, but to remind myself that I can transform any legacy, even a painful one, into power. You deserve respect. You deserve recognition. You deserve to be seen for who you really are. And if they can't see you, build something so bright they'll need sunglasses to look at you. Family isn't always forever, but self-respect? That's non-negotiable. If this story resonated with you, please share it with anyone struggling with toxic family dynamics.